Action.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. And this is a very special episode because this is the first episode of season 2 of Unboxed. And today we have a very special guest with us. She's a distinguished certified public accountant, and she's at the forefront of Dubai's professional landscape, specializing in coaching and training. She's mastered the art of leveraging LinkedIn to secure clients for businesses, employing strategies that are both innovative and proven. In recognition for her exceptional skills and contributions, she was named one of the top 15 LinkedIn experts in Dubai in 2023. Join us in delving into her insights and strategies. I want to welcome Wandalyn to the show, the first episode of Unboxed for season 2. Thank you, Wandalyn, for being part of the show.
Thank you, Janice. It's my honor to be the first guest. There's so much pressure, but there's so much honor. I mean, I'm very blessed and very honored to be here.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
So we've talked a lot before, and I know a little bit about your story, your journey, and this is basically scripted, this intro. So in your own words for our listeners, I just want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, your background. I know you're coming from a very corporate background, and then you found your passion and stuff. Just quickly, if you could just touch upon that.
Okay, I always introduce myself. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 2, and I actually am a certified public accountant for over 24 years.
All right.
I used to work with Emirates Airline as audit manager, but my burnout led me to reinvent my life and my career. I have so many reinventions, but today I am actually a CEO of my own company.
Wow, okay.
So, which focuses, of course, I always say I just share my struggles, stories, and successes. At the end of the day, I just want to help people before me who's been struggling. So that journey of, carried me to so many places, but today I'm very blessed, to leverage LinkedIn and help people understand its power so they can achieve their goals in business and of course in their profession.
That's amazing, because I think in a world where social media is so crucial, everybody's into social media, and most of the people just understand or look at the popular ones like Instagram or Facebook, and people normally ignore. Although everyone has a profile on LinkedIn, nobody really updates it or use it to its full potential. So in a world, I personally have friends, I have business owners, I know a lot of people who have LinkedIn profiles, but it's dud, it's zero, they don't keep it updated, they don't know how to use it. And I think for a person like you, probably you could shed some key insights into how, you can develop this further as well. Now, I've seen you talk before, and you've talked a lot about the burnout, right? I won't call it the burnout. So you openly, the adversity that you had to face when you were working, personal challenges, and how you overcame that challenges. Could you shed some light into exactly what was going on during that period of time and what helped you to overcome that?
I think first I want to explain what burnout is, because a lot of people don't know, and I actually don't know. See, when I experienced burnout, it was 2014. These terminologies just came famous later.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of misconception that you'll be burnt out if you don't like your job. But for me, it was very difficult. It was 2014, at the peak of my career as audit manager of Emirates Airlines. I had that perfect dream life that I wanted.
Yes.
Audit manager, working in Dubai. I have a best husband, best children, but I was always sick. I was always stressed, and I was feeling empty and unhappy for no reason. So I was like, there has to be something about this. And it was very difficult for me to speak about it because if you have everything and you're complaining, it doesn't sound good, right? Personally, for me, it doesn't make sense.
True.
But it became unbearable when not only am I getting sick, but my children are getting sick. So every weekend we have to spend on the hospital or either in the clinic, and I was like, there has to be a solution to this, why we're always sick, there has to be a healing beyond medicine. So that is when I started to look for life's meaning. Why am I unhappy? Why am I unsick? And then it led me to so many things until I realized that, wait, I am sick because I'm stressed. My children are sick because I'm passing on the stress to them, and they also don't know how to manage their stress. So when I understood the interconnections of my stress and sickness and happiness, then everything changed for me. And I think one of the trainings that I did, which I can explain later, is the Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It's about how the mind works. So it was a mind switch for me from being sickly and stressed to being happy and healthy.
Yes.
So that's why I said, okay, I'm gonna teach everything I know now about how to recover from that, and that led me to so many things, from writing books to sharing my story on LinkedIn, and that is when everything got bigger.
Yes.
So this global recognitions and awards, which I never had imagined would have come, but again, it's all about, I think at the end of the day, if you're from that place where you just want to help, and it just comes back to doing another things.
That's really truly inspiring, because personally I have people who work with big 5 auditing firms, and I know how stressful this auditing thing is, especially during the auditing season, or if there's some deadlines, it's quite stressful, and it really starts affecting the health of the person. And I think what you did was, one of the best things you could do for yourself. And in branding, we have, I don't know if you've heard about this, it's a Japanese concept called ikigai, or finding, your purpose. Your reason for being, if you have 4 quadrants, and what you love to do, what you're good at, what the world needs, so essentially finding that purpose or direction, and it's amazing how you found that, and it's a truly inspiring story. Now, it's not every day that we have LinkedIn, top 15 LinkedIn influencers walking through our door every day. So I want to make the most of it with you today. So I just want to ask a couple of questions on LinkedIn, because you're expert on LinkedIn. And I think it'll help the viewers, be it businesses or job seekers, leverage the full potential of LinkedIn. So in your view, what are the most frequent mistakes or missteps professionals make when reaching out to potential leads on LinkedIn, and how can they be rectified? Now, this is on the business side of things, on lead generation. So what are the potential mistakes that you see generally companies or professionals making when using LinkedIn?
I think number one, and I used to be that same person. We were saying you have that LinkedIn profile, know how to use it. I was one of those. I was on LinkedIn since 2011.
All right.
Yeah, I had no activity. I had nothing. It was during the midst of the pandemic. It was March 2020. I remember there's a lot of people sharing their burnout, and I was like, wait, I've been there. Let me just share my story. And that's when everything started. I was posting constantly every day during the pandemic, just to share what's my journey and how did I overcome it. In 3 months after being active, I got nominated for Rising 70 Filipinos on LinkedIn. Right. And then I saw some people who's doing very well, and I saw them doing live stream. And I was like, wait, they're live streaming, I can do that too. Because I've been live streaming on Facebook since my daughters were smaller. So I was like, I want to do live streaming, but this time I want to do live career coaching course. Because I want to help again people who are burnout. So after doing those live streaming, again, opportunities came from the global recognitions as career coach and most influential Filipina. And I was like, oh, there should be something here, right? So I will say the number one problem that most professionals and businesses have is no understanding about LinkedIn. Because I used to be that same person who thought it's a job market platform.
Yes.
It's for those people who are looking for jobs. So
exactly.
that's the idea, right?
True.
But I think, if you look at it, it's actually more than a job seeking platform. It's for businesses, because every person, number one, if you go to networking events, people will not ask for your Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. They will ask, what's your LinkedIn account? Because this is really the social media platform for professionals where they network. If you want to look for any executive, I mean, I've been through many, like this BNI meetings, they realize I need a contact for it. I was like, but on LinkedIn, you type the company and then you can actually immediately find that person and send that connection.
Yes.
And if you just understand how LinkedIn works, it's so easy. I was able to land global contracts, global clients, because I found the people on LinkedIn. I mean, I am now in partnership with a big coaching company for 20 plus. They've been there for 20 plus years because I messaged the president and introduced myself.
Okay.
So I will always say on LinkedIn, it's about understanding what your goal is and then finding the right person. But it all starts with clarity about what's the power of LinkedIn, how do you want to use it. And of course, other than the clarity of your goal, it's about the consistency of your actions too.
Yes.
Because some people will say, yeah, Wanda, I posted, nothing's happening. I think what also people need to understand, LinkedIn is a very different platform. I mean, on Facebook or Instagram, a lot of people are commenting, liking. But on LinkedIn, because this is a very corporate/business environment, so people tend not to comment, not to like. They're lurkers.
Yes.
So sometimes as a content creator, you feel that your efforts are wasted. But it's not, because a lot of people sometimes when I meet them, and sometimes just for an event, they'll come to me and say, I've been following you or I've been watching you. It's like, but I never saw your comment. So I think it's about also being consistent, in showing up.
Yes.
So the clarity, the consistency needs to be there, because when you have this tool, then it's so easy for you now. You show up not because there are likes, you show up not because there are comments, you show up because you have something to share, and you have that you want to help, and just the right people will just come and really find you.
Sure. I think like you mentioned, consistency is key. And you have to be determined. You have to, and I think when you say that during the pandemic you started posting regularly and stuff like that, you need to have that kind of mindset and frame. Most people wonder, be it any social platform. I have a social platform. I've been trying to grow the users, but I'm not getting the kind of results I'm looking for. What do I do? And I think the simple answer is consistency. You have to be consistent in pushing out that content. And most of us, essentially, especially the business owners or people on LinkedIn, are busy with other things, so they don't have the time for it. And when you talked about the power of LinkedIn, I have some amazing numbers here, which I was saying. I think there are over 1 billion members on LinkedIn right now. There are over 1 billion visitors on a monthly basis on the platform. There are a lot of decision makers, the ability to reach decision makers with 65 million decision makers on the platform. There are 58 million company pages. So what more do you need, right? Like if you're trying to generate high quality leads, it's just about learning how to do that, targeting the right people, and then making sure that your messaging is correct, and so on. So I think that's really amazing. And when it comes to now, we talked about the business side of things. As a job seeker, from the perspective of a job seeker on LinkedIn, what would you identify as the 3 critical areas they should concentrate on to enter the job market?
I think most people on LinkedIn, if you're looking for a job, number one that you need to understand, you need to have an updated profile. it is, your profile should be updated, your photo should be very professional, because now in this digital world where we now operate, actually I will always challenge people, Google your name and what comes out.
All right.
Because I'm sure your LinkedIn profile will come at the top always, or on the first page of the Google search page. Now, if that information about you is not updated, that's the time for you to make sure that you update, because every employer also, LinkedIn is also the #1 platform that most recruiters use, because they will see, what type of person, who is this, how is he commenting or engaging on the platform. Now, number one, if your profile is not updated, or if your picture itself creates an impression that you're not trustworthy, then you lose the job right away. In general, they said people only have 10 seconds to dictate whether they will hire you or no. So when they look at your LinkedIn profile for security check or whatever, it has to have a very good lasting impression, and the photo and the banner needs to be so professional to make sense of that. And also, a lot of people think that LinkedIn is a CV slash, that they just need to put the job description.
Yes.
I will always say, if you want to stand out on LinkedIn, explain. If you are, let's say, an auditor, what did your audit work result to? Did it lead to $1 million savings on profits, and how and why did you do it? If you have an MBA degree, what does that mean? How did your MBA? Right? It's about, I would say, quantify the impact and mention it specifically, because there are many accountants, there are many auditors, there are many job seekers out there. But for you to stand out, it's about having having that clear communication of why you're the right person for the job, what makes you different, and what you bring to the table.
Yes.
Because that will make it different. And also, I would say, if you're very clear now on LinkedIn in terms of the job that you want, then it's very easy to find the right people on LinkedIn to either send connection or engage, comment, or like. Because the best thing about LinkedIn, let's say, Janice, right? If you look at my profile, if you comment or you likes my post, I get a notification, right? And specifically on LinkedIn, very few people comment. So if I'm a CEO of the company and you want to work with me, right? If you comment on my profile, what happens is that I will visit your profile, I will check in. If I sense that you're the right person for the job, then I will hire you. There's no, a lot of people who work with me, I just also tell them, okay, have an updated profile. Reach out to the right people, be it your ideal, employer, or be it your previous colleagues also. A lot of my clients was able to land a job just by connecting to their previous managers.
Yes.
Because, these people that you work with have an idea of who you are and what you do. And when they do have job openings for you, they hire you immediately.
True.
Or also, if you ask them, do you know any position that's right for me? And people always want to help people. But the biggest problem on LinkedIn, people will message you and say, I need a job, this is my CV. I said, okay.
Exactly, we get it every day.
I mean, every day you receive these messages, but it will never work this way.
Yes.
You have to have a different strategy. You need to, I'll say, connect authentically. And a lot of people also don't know. If you ask them, what kind of job do you want? Say, any job. And it's like, it's not possible,
Exactly.
right? The moment you are clear what you want, it's so easy now to use LinkedIn with the right industry, the right job, the right people. You can find them there. But I'll say, never spam them too, because you get disqualified by spamming them.
Exactly.
Why not comment on their profiles, right? On their posts, go to their company page. One of my clients just liked the company page, imagine. And then she got hired.
Well, okay. Okay.
So
I think all the job seekers out there need to start liking the pages now. Yeah.
So there's so many things, but I will always say, make sure you are clear yourself. Who are you? What do you do best? And why you're the right person for any job? Because the moment that's clear to you, it's so easy to communicate even to the president of the company that I'm the right person. I will always say, if you have the guts, why not reach to the president and say, I found a position, that best fits me, and here's why I'm the best person to qualify for that.
Oh, okay, that's
so
really nice.
that's also possible. A lot of executives, CEOs, that I send this, they reply.
Oh, okay.
But it's about writing that powerful message that will make them read and respond.
Exactly.
So that communication is very critical.
it's interesting to hear from you that that what I also believe as coming from a branding background, the impact that you create and how you communicate that to the right audience. This is really crucial. One thing, Wanda, that I want to understand, like as a business professional, is like with the advancements in AI and a lot of people are using, writing a lot of, become more energetic, active on LinkedIn, and they're posting a lot of articles every day. But I think it's really easy to understand if it's written by yourself or AI, because of course it's someone who never posted anything now is using amazing language and writing long articles with all these emojis. And so I think it's very easy to identify if it is done by you or it's done by a bot. Like how has the transition, the landscape is changing, AI is everywhere, people are using this stuff. Have you looked into that part of it, or do you have any thoughts on that? How important is being authentic a big plus for LinkedIn?
I will always say authenticity is not critical on LinkedIn, but on anything that you do. Because the moment you have multiple personalities, and then you yourself get confused.
Yes,
right?
It's a different personality, right?
Yes, how can you have different personality on this platform than other personality?
When you meet this person face to face, you wouldn't even know how to talk, right?
Exactly. So I will always say AI is good. Yeah. There's so much you can do with it, but just be clear again, how do you want to use it? Because AI can never replace your voice. Yes. It can never replace your persona. So be clear, what kind of person are you, and how do you want people to know you?
Yes.
Because on LinkedIn, you can actually make sense whether a person's using AI. If it's very long, or if sometimes the topic is outside of what's being discussed, just because they just want to sound intelligent. So I will say, work not to impress, but work to express who you truly are.
Sure.
Because people can make sense if you're using AI, and if you really want to use it, I'll say use it, but make sure that your authentic personality is still within that. So there has to be a balance of everything.
Don't just cut and paste. Put some effort into it, right? Make sure that it's speaking like how you speak.
Exactly.
Just expressing how you want to express, right?
Definitely.
So that's a really cool insight, actually. So I've like when I see the LinkedIn feed now, people who's been silent for so long, now they're writing long articles about everything under the sun, not even topics that they know about. So I know there's something going on there. So, and especially
that's a red flag, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
that's a red flag. I'll say be conscious. Who do you want to be known for, and what really is your expertise?
Yes.
Because you remember you spoke about ikigai. Everything that you have in life is a product of who you are.
True.
There's no need to use AI to create another you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll say leverage on AI so that you become a better version in terms of communication, but not replacing your voice or not showing an inauthentic version of you that you're an expert on this, but
this
AI
is a really
research.
cool insight, actually. And we have these long conversations about AI and stuff like that, but what you said today is it was really a key takeaway, actually, from this session. Now, you're a LinkedIn professional. You must be spending tons of time on LinkedIn, but for an average user who's let's say a business owner, in your view, how much time should he spend on LinkedIn on a daily basis or a weekly basis? Should he give it to someone else to manage his profile? Again, this affects the authenticity of the actual profile itself. But what is your take on that?
When I started on LinkedIn, I only spent 30 minutes a day. Because I was on my way to work, I will just comment, engage, post. On my way back home, I'll do so maybe an hour a day. And I'll say it's the same for business owners. When I work with business owners, when they create the strong brand already, there's no even need to post every day. I will say the critical part on LinkedIn is that having a very good and updated profile, so that clients are clear who you are, what you do, who you help, and what are your products and services.
All right.
And then leverage on maximizing the connection every week, because there's a limit. The limit keeps on changing. Right now, I think it's 70 to 100 people a week you can send connections, because what happens if you connect with a person, they will visit your profile. If they need your products and services, the conversation starts already. Like, can you help me?
Yes.
Can you do this for me? But a lot of people don't even have a very clear profile, that their connections are not accepted at all. So I'll say, you start with building a clear profile about who you are and connect with the right person, and maybe you just need to spend 30 minutes a day, that's it. And then comment again, engage on those profiles which is relevant to your business, to your industry. So it's about focused attention, because that is when you will also get the result. It's not about commenting everywhere. It's about putting your focus 30 minutes a day on just engaging with the right people, connecting with the right people, and having those critical conversations that you need for your business.
Now I'm going to take this opportunity to get some personal advice from you. Like when I use LinkedIn, one of the challenges I'm facing is that my inbox is always bombarded with spam and bots and stuff like that. So what's happening in real time is that I'm losing out on key messages from important people, because I've stopped looking into these inboxes. Every day there's, I'm promoting this, I'm this guy. Maybe it's because of my profile and or something of that sort. So depending on which level in the organization you are, probably people reach out promoting their services and products. So how can I overcome that? Or do I need to? Is there any kind of spam control I can put in place? There are people who use, verify if you're authentic, provide your email ID and stuff like that to actually, validate that you're a real person and stuff.
See, if you do have a lot of spam, that's normal.
Okay.
But actually, LinkedIn have controls for that already. Like before, any person can send you any message, right? But now there are limitations in the platform that you can only, I think send 10 messages to a person. So you'll get less of the spam.
All right, okay. All right.
So the good thing is that LinkedIn keeps on changing also from an algorithm/enhancing perspective to make sure there are no spam. Number 2, you can put that control to say only people who know me will have my email address, can connect with me. Because you can, what people smartly are doing, I am looking forward to connecting with you, here's my email address, something like that. Or it would be better actually if you send a connection invite, right? Because that way you also strategically just, filter, this is the only kind of person I want to speak to. Because you can always, and I will always say, the spam will always be there, but it will also stop because people understand that it's not working for them.
Exactly.
So I'll say the moment you become cautious and conscious about, this is my only goal, connect with CEOs or executives or whoever my target clients are, then it becomes easier, I'll say.
Sure. Because
the conversation is easier too. And that spam will definitely go away. And a lot of people, if they're not your connections, it goes to email also.
Yes.
So you don't get to see them.
Yes.
And you can there's always some filters in terms of, unread emails and then mark this as unread. Or maybe have, I'll say, a keyword that this keyword is a key person for me. So at least it's easy for you also.
Sure.
But you can always have that control also on LinkedIn to say only people who knows my email address can connect with me.
Okay.
Because the moment you give your calling card to them, or actually if they're smart enough, if your email is actually on your banner, then they'll do it, right?
True.
I mean, smart people will always find a way to connect with you correctly.
Yes.
But these spammers will always just do it by sending messages.
That's a good point actually. If I'm a genuine person, I will go, I'll do the research, I'll do background checks, I'll go to the company website, I'll look at all this, and then probably. But I think if it is automated, or if it's a sales professional, probably whatever is easy for them, they'll take that route. And I think that's one of the controls that you can put in place, right? Some of the controls. I don't know if this is my next question is off topic, but I'm sure you're being a LinkedIn professional, you know about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So as business owner or as businesses, I think it's a great tool for generating leads. Do you have any thoughts on Sales Navigator? And
I'll be honest with you, I don't use Sales Navigator.
all right. Okay.
Because there's some, I've always challenged myself to do things organically.
All right. Okay.
So if you actually type on LinkedIn CEO, there'll be 22.9 million CEOs already.
Okay.
So you use the Sales Navigator just to get a dump of everything, right?
All right.
But there's some, I'll say, first, if you do the Sales Navigator, it's good to have that information.
All right.
But again, a lot of people who might have it but don't know how to use it will lose the purpose also. Because if you just know smartly how to use the search function on LinkedIn, you don't even need the Sales Navigator. It's just about, again, majority of the companies now, they will have the names of the executives on their website.
Yes. Yes.
So you find their name, you type that on LinkedIn, and then you can find them right away.
Yes.
Sales Navigator will do a lot of shortcuts for you, but there's some, I'll say, limitations also. In terms of, number one, is that information complete.
Yes.
And also when you reach out to them using a premium account and you're not connected, it will go to email.
All right.
So meaning I don't get to see that. Like for example, I was reading all my emails on LinkedIn. I realized I have so many unread, and I saw a 2022 email from a CEO about their products and services.
Wow.
Because it comes as an email, which is the premium subscription, right?
Yes.
So because number one, that principle of people don't want to be sold to. We love to buy, but you don't want to be sold
to.
So this email that you sent from the Sales Navigator, the premium subscription, it goes to another kind of inbox. So it gets unnoticed. And you already have that message sponsored. So you tend not to read it, right? And imagine how much money could you have saved if you just use it for a different purpose. And, if you just understand how LinkedIn works, and you could have done it organically, connect with the right person, send them a thoughtful message when you're connecting, and then take the conversation forward. Or actually, what I realized on the moment you're straightforward also, upon connecting that I'm doing this, do you want to be part of this project I'm working on? Immediately you get the response. You don't need to go around the bush, send them a connection, and then later sell them something.
True.
So why not be direct? I'm working on this project. Do you need this for your business? And then if they get accepted, then there's chances for you already, right, to take the conversation forward. I'll say be also polite and direct. That way, if you do that, there's no need for Sales Navigator from my experience, But because if you're creative and resourceful, because I've always challenged myself to go beyond the norm.
True. I think what you said absolutely makes sense, and I think it's only in large corporations, large organizations, when you have a business development team and they have targets they need to achieve, so they start using these kind of tools. I think just Sales Navigator is just one of the tools. There are so many other AI-driven tools as well that you can reach out. But then again, authenticity, lack of personality, not the engaging in the right way. Everything is like, I think only a very few handful of people can leverage the power of these tools. But if you just use it randomly, it's just going to go into spam, unnoticed. There's no responses and stuff.
Exactly. That's why a lot of people said I don't get any response on LinkedIn.
Correct.
That's the core reason, because a lot of people are now fed up, thinking that this is just another spam.
Exactly. True.
But then when you send a connection, and then the connection you put a message in terms of your purpose for connecting, then it's a good immediately they'll say I would love to collaborate or work with you.
Great.
It becomes so easy.
Great. Now, as a woman entrepreneur, what advice or what counsel would you give to your colleagues who are embarking on a journey, particularly in the realm of leadership and innovation for women? Because like you said, your journey you first started talking about I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and so on, which is really important, right? As a role, it's actually one of the key roles that that you want to take on a day-to-day in your life. So what advice would you give to any woman who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur in a leadership role?
I'll say for women, it's very difficult. From my journey, I mean, before marriage, I was always thinking I'm gonna be the head of the organization, you know. But when I started to have children, I started to question myself: do I really want to rise at the top, or do I want to have that time for my children, which I can never return? So I will always say, as a woman, you need to be clear, what do you really value the most? Because no money, no prestige, no position can buy back the time for your children. And I will always say, you can always reinvent your career and your life align with what you want. Because I thought, you know, career is always a straight line. Go up the ladder, be the head of the organization. But I learned the moment you are clear as a person, what kind of career and life do you want? And you just, you know, take the courage to start doing what you want, and it becomes possible, right? And I was always telling my children, I left my audit manager job. I reinvented my life, because you always hear people say, do what you love, but they don't even say how you do it, right? Exactly. And I will always tell my daughters, because I want to be a living example and reminder to my daughters that, you know, when your priorities change, and it will, because life changed. I want me to be a reminder to them that everything is possible. But you always need to put that balance first, because like if I do travel, when I go for this training or coaching, I always have to think of, wait, who's gonna take care of the family? I mean, there's so many things that a woman needs to consider, right? Exactly. So I will say, be clear about your priorities, because I've also met a lot of very successful women entrepreneurs who were actually divorced or separated. At some point, it was my self-sabotage belief. You know, my money was blocked for some time, and I was like, why is my money blocked? And I was like, wait, because I associated women's success to divorce and separation, and family is the top of my core value. So when I had that conversation with my husband to say, is it okay if I'm successful as an entrepreneur? Because I never want, you know, I think there's always some kind of somehow competition in a marriage. That, you know, you feel that I felt that my husband was threatened because I was doing something else. And I also am threatened because I see a lot of women who are divorced and separated, and I never want to be like that. So I had a conversation with him one morning. I asked him, it was very weird. I said, can I be as successful as an entrepreneur? He said, why not? I want you to be successful in everything that you do. When he said that, the money that was blocked for me for 3 months came that day.
All right.
So I'll say, as a woman, be clear about your priorities, be clear about the blocks and beliefs that holding you back. Because if you really want to accomplish something, nothing and no one can stop you. I mean, my husband will always say, yeah, I never stop you, you're always stubborn. But I always say, you know, I always ask permission also. Because at the end of the day, you are in a partnership, you're in a relationship, you have a family. And I think that's why I always say, before the other roles that I have, I'm very clear, I am first a wife, a mother, and the rest follows. Because that is when I get to align every decision that I have, everything that I do. I make sure that my values and priorities are honored, because no money, and you know, you will have peace of mind, you will have the kind of money that you have, the freedom that you have, when you're very clear about this and you're living it every day.
Sure. So, I think that's amazing. It's really powerful. I mean, getting the priorities right? I think as a woman, probably this is something that every woman needs to hear, getting the priority right. Even if you're very ambitious, and what is your priority, and you know, putting them in order. So otherwise, you know, you'll have a problem later on in your hands. So it's really, really inspiring. Now, final question. I think we've had this discussion before the meeting and the podcast. Like, you have kids in high school, I have kids in high school, and I think we're aligned on the fact that school is kind of not the effectiveness of being in school, and what next, what after school. What are your thoughts on that, and what advice would you give any parent or any kid who's in high school looking beyond? Because like I said before, everything is changing around us. The way we do business, the way we interact, the way we, run up, communicate with people, interact with people. There's a lot of technology in it. You don't have to, finish your degree to start hustling and building a career. So what advice would you give to parents or maybe a high school or a college grad who's thinking of what should I do next?
I think first to parents, because I was a child. I am a child actually,
Yes.
and I am a parent now. I think, during my time, my mom will always pressure me, make sure I have the best grades. I was academically excellent. I have to be. So, but what I learned from my own experience as a parent and to my children, when I stopped pressuring them, I had this conversation with my children to say, I'm not gonna care about school.
Right.
My only request is one thing: you make sure you do your best. Because I was telling them, this is some trait that you will carry, and I'm sure it will make you successful for your life. So when I look at the grades, I already know.
Right.
Did you do your best here or no? And actually, they're the one who, if you allow your children to be independent with your schooling, my children actually scored more. I mean, their grades excelled when I back off. When I gave them that responsibility, this is your life, not mine. So if you want to become somebody sometime, somewhere, and then you make sure you do your best here, that's it. Because I also learned children are very self-critical. I mean, when they come from school, sometimes they will cry, Mommy, I think I failed. And I will always have the conversation, what did you learn here? Because I will always say failure is not bad. It's the way we see failure. Because if you say, yeah, I failed here, but what do you do next?
True.
This is the kind of skill that children need to know now. How do you set up your children for success when they have setbacks, which are normal in life? And I'll say, have the children have the concept of self-responsibility and accountability. Because at the end of the day, we parents are only, I'll say, we are just resource for them to live their life the best. But if we become controllers, you make sure you do this, you do that, we restrict their growth in some manners. So I say to parents, be open to listening to your children, because they really are. I always have this conversation with my children too. How can I become a better mom to you? Because nobody can answer that in a book. It's a one-to-one conversation. That's how we both grow together. So I'll say, the world is changing, but you will always thrive as a family, as a parent, if you have these one-on-one conversations with your children. And I'll say now, if you are in school and if you're graduating, that ikigai is a very important concept. And I will always say, step back and ask yourself, what problem do you want to solve for the world? And it doesn't have to be kind of big world problem, because the most successful people I met are the ones who were able to find their purpose early on. Like one of the person I met, I asked her, what do you want to be also when you're a child? She said, I want to be a nanny. I was like, huh? I just want to take care of people. But she actually got promoted every year because she's in this kind of job that's taking care of people. So go back always to what do you want to be when you were young and why. And maybe look at the past as a child, what you want to be, and also look at the future. If you're now 80 years old and you've lived that best life that you want, what kind of impact did you make in the world? Because it's not about changing everything or doing everything. I'll say it's about finding. Every person has a career and calling in this world. Nobody can replace that. So if you find yours, then that will be life-changing for yourself, for the people that you get to work with or help.
Right. I think that was a very interesting conversation, Wandalyn. I would love to, pick your brain, because I think there is a lot more that we can uncover when we sit and discuss on a lot of different topics. But I think we're running out of time. I just want to thank you for coming in today. Everything that you mentioned, every single thing that you mentioned makes sense for me as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman. It was quite insightful to have you today, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you, guys. That's the end of the show. And please visit our platforms on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube to watch the entire show. Thank you.